what I'd like to do is take up NBID. So you guys will spend 90 minutes reading it. Now, I'm going to do something a little different than what we did in the case writing technique session. It allows me to go a little quicker, and you'll be happy because it takes a little less time. Sometimes we take up a case like I did the other day, yesterday, where I go through and I put the whole plan together, and I go paragraph by paragraph, and you see how the plan is developing. Other times, we pull out the required from the case, we figure out what needs to be done, integration, order of attack, and then we look at each individual required. So this allows me to get into more depth in each required, because going through what we did yesterday, when I go through the whole plan, paragraph by paragraph, it takes time. Okay, it just takes a lot of time. So we just mix it up. Like, truthfully, it's not a question of right or wrong. We just mix it up. Sometimes we go paragraph by paragraph, and other times we do the required, okay, just to really have some variety. That's all. Okay, please stop me, everybody, if you have questions or anything as I'm going through this. Okay, let's pull out the requireds. They're all very directed. I think people should have got these. Beginning in the 5th paragraph. Okay, on the first page, the 5th paragraph, Mike would like to address whether there's serious problems with corporate governance demonstrated by the board, which needs to be remedied. Fine. So we've got governance. He wants to know if there's problems. You're going to have to explain the problems and suggest remedies. Okay, we have a governance required. Then we got financial reporting, and we tell you the issue. So the issue is asset retirement obligation. He wants to know if it's correct and whether the amount accrued is sufficient. Okay, so consider the implications of recent developments and whether the amount is correct, and if whether the ARO, the accounting, is correct and the amount accrued is sufficient. So people, everybody should realize we are being unbelievably nice here. Okay, and again, I think it's representative, and that's why we're doing it. But does everybody understand what we did here? We told you 2 things about the ARO. How to account. I want to know if it's correct, and whether the amount is sufficient. I call that being pretty nice. Okay, like we're really giving you guidance here on what we want you to deal with. Okay, everyone good? All right. Next sentence, he would like to know whether the difficult financial position impacts the financial statements. Okay, fine. Oh, I just kind of put that with number 2. But they're concerned whether or not they can meet their commitments to the Canadian and U.S. customer. Okay, fine. He wants you to determine whether the company will be able to meet its commitments or whether there'll be a shortfall, as well as the amount of the penalty. Okay, that will be incurred by not meeting the U.S. contracts. So I write that down. That's when we're getting into numbers. Before determining this, he'd like to know whether it pays to exceed emission limits. Maybe it's better to exceed them in order to increase capacity and better meet demand, despite the fines. But that'll still minimize the penalties and the fines overall. Okay, that sounds like it's numerical also. Everyone good? All right, now that's our first page, but in the appendices, in appendix number 3, did people see another required here? Look at the highlighted at the bottom. Management would like to know, here comes the required, if the U.S. contracts produce major negative cash flows. Okay, as they're very reluctant, they don't want to give them up. And they would only consider giving them up if they had major negative cash flows. Okay. So we add that. I put it in red, just I'm showing you it came from an appendix. Remember, we said you're going to get most of them in the body before you get to the appendix, but you can still get, or you can still get something from an appendix. Appendix 5, we got tax. Address whether it makes sense not to file a tax return, as well as, so there's 2 things here, as well as any tax ramifications with the loans to the executive. Okay, fine. So we have 2. I put down A and B. All right. So people, you just have to be aware that they can totally ask you a required in the appendices. Okay. Any questions? So I think I have about 6 requireds. Okay. The first one was governance, and we have financial reporting. Then we've got these numerical ones, number 3, 4, and 5, which is dealing with cash flows. And then we got 6, we got tax. All right. Any questions or comments so far? Everybody should be picking out all these requireds, people. To me, they're all very directed. You remember when we did the case writing techniques and I talked about the different types of requireds, these are all explicit. And I said to you at the time, I think yesterday, I said to you they're like 80% or something are explicit. Okay, so this does fall in line with the majority of the requireds. Any cause for concern? Everybody good? Comments? Okay, now, there is a little integration here. Pretending that we had just done the whole plan, put it together before we look at the individual requireds, there is a little bit of integration here. Number 3, where you're dealing with this business of can they meet the commitments or whether there'll be a shortfall, that kind of is intertwined with number 4, where you're talking about should I exceed the fossil fuel limits. So it might make sense to do number 4 first. Okay, it might make sense to do. Hold on. It might make sense to do number 4 before we do number 3. A decision whether to exceed capacity impacts the capacity available. So why don't we do number 4 first, whether to exceed the limits, and then we'll see whether we're going to have we'll see the impact on the shortfall. I'm just saying there's a little bit of integration here between the 3rd and the 4th required. Okay. Also, number 3 and number 5. What am I talking about? Well, if you have a shortfall, guess what happens? You get a penalty.
We hope you enjoyed watching this video excerpt. If you'd like to see the remainder of this excerpt, as well as a number of other take-ups of CP simulated cases, as well as a session on case writing techniques, please feel free to register for this course. In order to register for this course, please go to our website if you're not already there. The name of our website is passyourcpa.ca. Put your cursor over CP module courses, which you'll see at the top of the screen. Then click on CP case writing prep courses, and you'll be able to enter this course and register. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact myself, Michael Levy, or my partner, Art Walfish. We'd be delighted to speak with you and answer any questions that you have.